I turn it over to you. The floor is yours, my friend. Tell us about yourself.
Well, I appreciate it, Joe. And I'm really looking forward to, like I said, where this goes. And I'll start, like you said, high level. I'll take you back a number of years. So I know that you kind of have a history in the Chicago area and in the Cleveland, Ohio area. I'm a Northeastern person. So I grew up in upstate New York in the Adirondack Mountains. So I come from a large family. I'm one of five boys. So I mean this with all the positive attributes. I don't know if you've ever read or seen Lord of the Flies, but
Oh
like
yeah.
the first 10 or 15 minutes was kind of like my childhood growing up. You had a great time with your brothers and your friends, figuring things out, adventuring, getting lost, getting found. You mentioned shake it off. I think our motto back then was to rub some dirt on it, and that worked for us. But as I kind of got into leadership, I realized that that doesn't work for everybody, so I can't lead everybody that way. So that was kind of my upbringing in the Adirondack Mountains. We played a lot of sports. I did a lot of non-traditional sports early on. I was a snow skier. I was a competitive water skier. I windsurfed. I learned a lot of things on an individual basis with some of those non-traditional sports. And then I got into, I know your background is baseball. I got into basketball and some more traditional sports and team-oriented stuff. I didn't really follow direction very well. I kind of always wanted to blaze my own trail, but I learned a lot from that. I learned what to do, what not to do. I do think that even though I may not have followed very well, I think I listened pretty well. And I think a gauge by that is if your spouse tells you and your kids tell you that if you're a good listener. So I think that was one of the things that I did well when I was growing up.
Where I'm going with this is everything you listed was an outdoor activity, water skiing and cross country skiing. And I know
Yep.
you're still really an avid outdoorsman now. What do you think attracted? I preach that on the like one of the things I tell people is get outside every day. Like if you're having mental struggles, you're depressed, or whatever, get outside. And it sounds like you've done that your whole life. What do you think attracted you to that? And what do you get out of it, or what have you gotten out of it your entire life? I'd love to hear your perspective on that.
Yeah, I think the reason behind it, again, I was fortunate. I kind of grew up in that environment. So it was there, and I really am grateful that I grew up in that environment. So it was always very accessible to me. So I never take that for granted. And I think that's half of the why. The other half of the why is that I took to it. This may sound kind of corny, but I appreciate the idea of adventure. To me, I believe the concept of adventure is so important in everybody's life, whether it's the two words that I love are being able to relate stories and having adventures. And when I grew up, kind of everything was an adventure. Like I said, I got lost a lot, and you find yourself, you figure out a way to navigate. So that's probably the why part. And then what I valued from it is, again, being in the outdoors or getting yourself lost and found is not necessarily easy. We found ourselves often in some, predicament situations. I mean, there are times where we go hiking in the mountains, and so there's one particular story with my brother, and it was supposed to be a day trip, and we took a couple of Lucky Charms, but that day hike on Elephant and Black Mountain in the Adirondacks turned into a 3-day excursion. We essentially had some water and Lucky Charms. But yeah, that's just the way things happened, and you find a way of navigating, finding your way back. And I think you learn the skills about kind of getting lost, navigating, finding your way back home without stressing. Maybe there's a little bit of stress, but without freaking out and without panicking. And I think there's a lot of correlations to that in adventure, in business, in life in general. And that's something that I try to live with my kids. My kids love being outside. If I can spend more than half of my life outside, I think I'll end life a happy camper.
Yeah, and I still remember the first time I went to a leadership camp. I won a scholarship, and they sent me to a leadership camp in Denver, Colorado. And it was in the late summer, so I was getting ready for soccer. I was really good at two sports in high school. I played basketball, but I wasn't great at it. I was like a Dennis Rodman. I would get you with outrageous effort, but I did not have a lot of talent. But in soccer, I did, and I was getting ready for the season. So I went for a run every morning when I was at this leadership camp because I wanted to keep my conditioning up. And this was, 7,000 feet up in the Rocky Mountains. And I was out for a morning run. It was about 6 in the morning. and I was running up this trail, and as I came around the corner, the sun was just coming up between two peaks, and there was kind of a river meandering through the valley below, and the clouds were just kind of framing the sun. And I mean, I'm a knucklehead 15-year-old kid, and it was so breathtaking, it stopped me in my tracks. Like
Yeah.
I had to just stop and like really soak in what I was able to experience right there. And that was kind of the first time I remember thinking, man, the world is an awesome place, and you really need to appreciate like moments like this when you're really struck by just the awesomeness of the world. And you don't get that the same way if you're not outdoors. Like you can't get it off a TV screen or a book. Like
No,
I'll never
no.
forget it, and I've appreciated it ever since.
And you're right. I feel like when I was younger, I appreciated the adventure side. I appreciated the fun side. I didn't really appreciate the beauty and the majestic nature of the world. I do now as an adult. I mean, so yes, I do some rather expensive things, whether it's snow skiing or some of the activities, but you can go hiking, you can go walking, you can go trail running for free. I get it. If you may not live near mountains or wilderness or lakes, it does take a little bit of effort and energy and some money to get there. But some of that stuff is it's the cheapest, most beautiful time that you can spend with either, if you want to do it on your own or with your family or with friends. So even now, I try to walk or hike every day. And I do tell people this is mostly true. I didn't actually write the book when I was walking or hiking, but I found like through my daily walk, all of the stuff of the 30-year career started coming back to me on every one of my walks. I'd come back and then I'd document it. And that kind of built the book by just going out and being out in nature and having whether appreciating the beauty or there's something about just the peaceful nature of it. Sometimes I just do my best thinking when I'm outside.
Yeah, for sure. Just as a way of clearing your head, and like for me, the rest of the world just kind of melts away, and you can be alone with your thoughts, and you can feel the sun on your face and feel the wind hit your skin. And
Yeah.
usually there's water around when I'm outside, so you can hear the water running and birds chirping and animals in the woods. And there's just something about it that's very grounding. And I think it's really important for everybody to regularly spend time outside. And I know that you've been committed to it your whole life, just because you fell in love with it as a kid. But yeah, I wanted to touch on that with you. So I appreciate you kind of sharing
Yeah,
that
and I
with us.
you just got my mind thinking. As a sports lover and ski lover, I was watching some of the Olympics. I don't know if you watched any of the Olympics lately. They've actually coined it the Norway. They spend so much time outside in Norway. That's how they've developed these, and it's not to develop champion skiers. It's just to
Right.
develop their youth into productive, meaningful adults. And just by that, the value of getting them outside as much as they can, even in Norway. So if they can do it in Norway, we can definitely do more of it here.
Yeah, because it's not super warm in Norway for about half the year, you know?
No.
Yeah, you got to bundle up. I still